something. I used to be so angry from inside, but you just can't do it. So
What was your first, oh my god, I made it moment?
it's never the right time. It's never the right opportunity. You just have to gather some good courage and.
Welcome to Voices of Influence. Today we have a very special guest with us, Suchali Jain, the co-founder of Suchali's Artisan Bakehouse. She has revolutionized artisanal baking in India, and her journey is no short of inspiration. Without a further delay, let's get into it.
To me, I am Suchali, the founder of Suchali's Artisan Bakehouse, and we specialize in making sourdough breads, croissants, specifically breads. That's my love. And the breads, the experience which I want to give is an authentic experience which people in our country have not experienced before. And this is what I want to introduce and provide to the lovely people of our country because they deserve to eat better. So that's my brand. And I started my brand in 2017 by baking only once a week. I used to collect orders from my society. As we say, charity begins at home. So my lovely neighbors used to give me 1 or 2, 3 cute little orders. And then I used to prep the whole week and supply once a week to them for breakfast. So that's how the whole journey started to where we are now. And we have a presence in 4 major cities of the country, which is Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Calcutta. And we are making about 10,000 croissants a day to 7,000 breads a day. Yeah, that's the volume. And I think we were able to scale up because people really wanted to eat healthy and good product.
Anyways, was this a passion that you turned into business? And when did you get this idea that, okay, I'm just going to start selling this, or I want to turn this passion into business?
So, so I was also very young, to be very honest, when I started this. I started this when I was 23. So I was also fresh out of college and worked briefly with Crystal for a year. And I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the monotony of, doing things. And, I was not using my own brain and, not really liking much what I was doing. So I just left it. And then I was aimless and jobless for a year, thinking what to do, why am I living, what's my aim. And slowly, I used to always love eating breads, and breads was my to-go food every time. And I'm from Ambala, so being from a small town, all breads was those white and brown loaves of breads which are available, and I used to always love eating them. And my mom would always say that don't eat bread, at least eat roti. It's healthy. Breads are not healthy, so bread remained to be my preferred choice always. And I think when I was in this journey of finding, basically it was a very troublesome journey wherein I didn't know what to do, what I wanted to do, what was my passion. So I spent a lot of time on Instagram, to be very honest, in those days. And Instagram was also a little bit new. So I used to read some inspirational stories of people, how they discovered their passion, or, whatever they're doing today and whatever they're doing, they're loving it, why they're loving it. So I started reading a lot about breads. Back then, I didn't even know how to weigh a gram of flour. I didn't know what yeast was. I opened my encyclopedia and then the letter Y and what yeast meant. So I think that was the inception of this whole idea, and that was the whole inception of me starting to like the idea of what it was.
Alright. As you said that your mom would always say that breads are a bit unhealthy and all that. So, do you think if that's a myth or a fact, and if people still think कि ऐसा होता है, and what perception do you have it? And if it is a myth, then how would you like to burst that myth?
I would say it's not a myth. So back then, I would say 15, 20 years back, the only bread which was available to us were those square loaves of breads, the white and the brown ones. And I think 15, 20 years back, we never used to read the labels as well. We never used to read what's going in the bread, what all products you're consuming for the sake of having a slice of bread. So I think it was not a myth that bread was considered to be unhealthy, because it was genuinely unhealthy. But in today's, like, we are in 2025 today. Today, the options which we have in the name of bread are, many. They cater to different segments. You can get the square, similar, the traditional types, traditional loaves of breads, versus what you get today, specialty breads which are handcrafted, which, the new term which has really risen is clean label. I'm sure you all know what clean label means. Clean label means it should be free from, the chemically processed things, and it should not have any preservatives or additives which are considered to be unhealthy for you. So I think that uh, culture is really picking up. So in today's time, I would say bread is not necessarily unhealthy. It is on you if you want to make healthier choices for that product.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Anyways, going back, can you please tell us about your schooling? And since you told that you were born and brought up in Ambala, I think, and maybe about your schooling, your college, and what you initially wanted to do as a child. What were your dreams as a child?
Um, so I belong to Ambala. It's in Haryana, a small town, way smaller town than Delhi, and born there, grew up there, and I've studied from Convent of Jesus and Mary in Ambala, and then went on to a boarding school in Mussoorie, again CJM Mussoorie. And but my parents always wanted to make sure that, after my schooling, whatever college we go to has to be a remarkable college in the map. So uh, I gave my 12th boards, got decent grades, still could not make it to the best of courses in Delhi colleges, because that was my dream, that I wanted to go to SRCC or come to LSR or whatever. But just one English screwed everything. So I don't know if it's the same today, but that time it was best of four and English was the mandatory thing. So I think that spoiled everything, anyways. But I think things happen for a reason. So I ended up going to Mumbai. I've studied from NM College in Bombay. And after I finished my college, as I told, that it was the whole journey of self discovery and the troublesome year, I think, led me to where I am today.
Also, what course did you pursue in college?
So I've studied bachelor's in management studies.
Oh wow! Even I think most of us are
Pretty similar to
yeah,
BCom.
most of us are here from BCom or economics. They're also journalism students. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so initially starting a brand is like very difficult, but getting it to where Suchali's Artisan Bakehouse today is great. So what are some tips maybe you would give to young entrepreneurs getting into any business to reach where your business is today?
So 2016 was the year where I used a lot of my mind space to what I wanted to do, and why I wanted to do. So 2017, I just went to the US to learn what breads was, like, to learn what croissants were. Croissants were only available in a five-star hotel in 2017. It's not even a long time ago. I would say it's only been 8 years or 9 years. So I went to learn everything from scratch. I went to learn how croissant is made. Never knew it was so complicated to make. I went to learn how a sourdough bread is made. And so I think I did not make a big plan. I did not have a proper structured plan in place. I did not have a business strategy. I did not know that, back then I was very naive. As and I said, I was also only 23. So I didn't know that the bread gap was a big gap in our market. So I just had a small idea, and then I was like, I just want to give it a try. At the worst, what will I have to lose is just some months, which, anyways, I'm not really making use of it right now. So I just went to learn, and I spent 3-4 months in US learning everything from scratch. And when I came back, I just started everything very organically. To my utter disappointment, not even one recipe worked. Whatever I learned, not even one recipe worked, because flour being my major ingredient in the whole process, the flour was so different from the US. So it was a big pain. And the baking industry is not very structured in our country. It's not like you would go to a store and you would buy all your supplies and you will get the tray and the rack and the ovens and all the ingredients. It's very unorganized in our country still. So 2017 I slowly kept going with the flow, started testing the products which I learned. And the product I was making was not an instant product like a cake or something that I would get the result the same day. The croissant making process is a 4-day process. Sourdough making process is a 3-day process. So it was very, very challenging. So, but I started making the product. I started sampling it to my family, friends. Everybody would say it's amazing, but I knew that it was very bad. I knew that this was not what I wanted to make, or this is not what I learned and came. So it took its own time. 2017, I took it slowly, and um, through word of mouth, I started getting some orders. Initially, within my own, society I was living in, and the kind neighbors, they gave orders for 2 croissants or 3 croissants, and once a week. So they started giving orders, and slowly, I was like 2 months, 3 months down the line, their friends outside our society started giving us orders. So I would say the name spread very, very organically. The graph of operation was also very slow. It was a lean graph. It took some time, but then it did kick off. 2018 was a year which I spent a lot in educating the customers what sourdough bread is. It was easier for them to accept croissants, but what sourdough is, why is it hard, why is it sour, you've given us a spoiled bread, or what's the white flour on the bread, it has got mold, why are you giving us an old bread? So those were the uh, feedbacks I used to get from my customers. And then it took time, but people slowly accepted the product. And especially back then, the people who were well traveled or were expats were the ones initially who came out and told me, no, you're making the right product. Because me being an Indian myself, I was trying to make a foreign product. So I if you ask how did you get validation for your product, how did I know whether I was doing the right thing or not? Because there were some customers who volunteered and who came and told me that no, this is what you're making is really authentic, or what you're making is the right product, so just keep going. So out of 100 customers, only 2-3 would tell me this. So then I was like, if even 2-3 people are telling me, then something I'm doing, whatever I'm doing, something is right, not everything is wrong. So I think that really, I had that self belief since day one that it'll take time, but I think I will get my family.
So, since we know that starting a food related business, you obviously need great food, but then you also need your customers to be loyal to you, especially when it comes to something like breads. And then you need strong, amazing marketing so that people know something like this really exists, and then something like this is really coming up. So, how do you dive into that, and how did you reach your point? Also, adding into this, maybe a lot of people here know and do not know about your partnership with Blue Tokai. So, how did you partner with Blue Tokai? Because I think if anyone starts a brand here, we would love to have partnerships like those. So, any tips for us, and how did you start with Blue Tokai and all that?
Sourdough bread is basically a naturally fermented bread. You all know that bread is a process of fermentation. We use yeast for the bread to rise. So, sourdough bread, a real authentic sourdough bread, is made with only 3 ingredients: flour, water, and salt. There should be ideally no fourth ingredient in the bread. And sourdough bread is made with natural fermentation of flour and water. Yeah. So, and because it is naturally fermented, it releases. So, sourdough bread has these naturally occurring wild yeast, and we also slow proof the sourdough breads at a lower temperature. The slow proofing develops flavor, texture in the bread, and the sourdough breads are also considered to be healthier than the other breads because of the presence of certain good bacteria in them, which we call it as lactobacillus bacteria. So they are healthy for the gut, like how we have the bacteria in the yogurt, the curd, which is healthier for the gut. So the bread also has this naturally occurring bacteria in them because of the process which we use in making the bread. So it's considered to be healthy. And because sourdough breads are more I mean foreign, so they are baked at a higher temperature, and that is also the reason it has hard crust. And a traditional sourdough bread does not have any fat, like there's no butter, there's no oil, so it's harder to chew than the other breads.
So, what and where was your first store, and what place was it at? And why did you particularly choose that one place to open your store?
The store, you see?
Yeah, the store.
uh, so I would say the first retail presence was not really a physical store. So I don't know if you all had seen, we had a small push cart in Cyber Hub in 2018. I mean, you might not have seen, it's been years. So where Uniqlo is currently in Cyber Hub, so there it was an open atrium kind of a thing. There was nothing there. So 2017 I started, and then I just wanted, with the least amount of expense, to have my retail presence somewhere so that people have a place where they can come and buy the breads, and they need not necessarily be have to pre-order. And also, even if people are just walking by, at least they read the brand name, they at least read something like this exists, and they can always be a recall whenever they come to it later on. So it was a 6x4 wooden cart kind of a thing, which was there in Cyberab. That was the first retail presence in 2018. um, I was really, really excited about it. It came with a lot of learnings, successes, failures of its own kind. But I think it was one of the good risks I took back then. Good, rewarding risks.
Also, when it comes to starting a business into baking, our parents can sometimes be a bit skeptical about it because maybe it's very uncertain of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, what was your family's role in the business? How were they initially about it? Just about that.
So when I went to do my apprenticeship in the US, and I also belong to a very typical business background family, and uh, from generation to generation, the business has been same. So where and typically how the parents expect you to follow some professional field, be an engineer or be a lawyer or be a journalist or work in the big four. So the term being a chef or a baker was never in the dictionary. So the time when I started getting interested in this, and I started sharing my thoughts with them, they basically had no expression. They were like, I mean, they acted as if this world did not exist for them. They did not know. They thought that being a chef or a baker is a very bookish thing. Okay, we introduced the term as a child to you, but does it really exist? And then, especially being from Ambala, like chef or the baker profession was not really looked up to. It was always considered as a second world profession. If you have nothing to do, then you're doing this. And so but it was never like, they never said a big no to it. They were kind of skeptical in terms of, you're a girl, will you be able to work physically like this? And especially being in the baking industry, you will have to stand for hours, you will have to lift some weight, you will have to do all this. So they were just concerned in terms of, whether it's good for a girl or not. So that was the concern. But I think one of the major pivotal roles which was played was by my husband, and he really, really, really pushed me into it. So I think that was one support I got, and because he really believed in my little small idea. He said, even if it doesn't work, it's okay, you just have to give it a shot. You have nothing to lose today any which way, so you just have to give it a shot. So slowly everybody got used to it, and slowly over the years, when they saw success, then this industry really became visible to everybody in my family.
So, since we know that starting a food related business, you obviously need great food, but then you also need your customers to be loyal to you, especially when it comes to something like breads. And then you need strong, amazing marketing so that people know something like this really exists, and then something like this is really coming up. So, how do you dive into that, and how did you reach your point? Also, adding into this, maybe a lot of people here know and do not know about your partnership with Blue Tokai. So, how did you partner with Blue Tokai? Because I think if anyone starts a brand here, we would love to have partnerships like those. So, any tips for us, and how did you start with Blue Tokai?
Um, So when I started baking this product, I would say the market was not already existing. I think I had to create a market for this product.
You're a
There were
market
no research
creator.
papers that, in the, like, even today, if you say, like, if you research on Google, like, if you're researching about what's the size of the baking industry, all you'll read about is cakes or cookies or breads in general. You'll never read about sourdough breads even today,
Yeah.
because I think that's the market which is still getting created, and it's taking its own size in the market. So again, totally unaware of the fact that the market did not exist, and I'm trying to do something niche and unique. I think it was a blessing in disguise that I started with some product which did not have a competition back then. And with God's grace, it also had slowly uh, started having that acceptability of the product. Um when I started, it was not that, on day one, or on even on day two or day three or day 10, I had long list of orders coming to me. It it was, as I said, it was a very lean curve. It took its own time. And but yeah, when people started having the product, they started liking the authenticity of it. And I was never really, like, I did not have a big business plan back then, or I was very, like, pretty much going with the flow. So I did not really want to really push the product also on the people. I think it was a very organic demand which got created out of the product. And so when I got associated with Blue Tokai, I think it just started as a very vendor customer relationship back in 2017, where they were looking to have the pastries, the croissants at their cafes. They also had two cafes back then, and then I was making croissants. So I think it was meant to be, because coffee and the bakery is meant to be together. So I think it was written, and both the brands, we really believe in top really authentic product, providing the topmost quality to our clients. And both the brands are very product led brands, and not the overall cafe led brands. Like, we really focus on our own respective products. So I think it's a very symbiotic relationship, and the synergies really turned out well.
So, do you think that partnering up with Blue Tokai has given Suchali's Artisan Bakehouse a push?
It definitely did, but I think both the brands really grew together in this area, because we got associated together in 2017. And the customers which we cater to, the nature of the customers who step in the stores, or who come to our products, is pretty much similar. The audience which we cater to is pretty much similar. And a person who would be thinking about good bread will also be willing to have good coffee. So I think that way it clicked really.
Also, you talked about maintaining quality and hygiene at most. I think as much as a business grows and jitna business बढ़ता है, utna there's a risk or there's a threat to the quality, because you can't be always present physically everywhere to see if everything is going well or not. So, how do you maintain that product quality and that hygiene, and how do you ensure that for your customers?
So 2021 was the first year where we ventured outside of Delhi NCR, which was our other second bakery, which was not locally to where I was present. I was really scared, really, really scared how I'm going to manage everything. But I think it really gave me, it was a it was a very good decision to make, because it was hard initially. But you know investing in the right resources within your team, it's very important for you to have that common vision. For example, your head baker who's supporting you, and versus you should have the common vision at creating the product, why we are creating this product, and belief in what you're creating. I think that's very important. And once we shared that common vision, made it easier. And of course, we are focusing a lot on the sourcing of our raw materials. We are being very, very specific about the processes we are following at making the product, having the right SOPs in place. There has to be a no tolerance policy for the product which is not in line with our SOPs. So implementing all that, initially it becomes tough. Even today, when we open a new bakery, it is tough, but then we have that learning curve initially, and then we are able to manage it. So I feel the common thought at the topmost leadership level is very important.
How do we evaluate the risk, and how do we again move on to solving those possible threats we might have to a business?
Okay, so I would say I'll talk about a couple of points here. So, you know, it always starts with the idea in your mind and your heart that I have this idea, this is what might work, this is what I personally want to do because I have a story to believe in this. So I think it always starts with that. And the moment you're sure of your idea, okay, this is what I want to do, you go out in the market and start analyzing things. Who are your competitors? Who are your how the market is, what's the size of the market, what will be the acceptability of the product in the market. So having done all that research and the work behind it, so I think that's important, but that's not the only factor which will lead to success of your story. Because the way you create the product, the way you're executing it, and your personal belief really, really plays a big role. So, a person can have a very, very great product, very, very great, a very great idea of a product, but if the person is not ready to work that hard, because honestly, being in a startup, sometimes you even have to give in work of more than 24 hours a day. So a lot of times in my journey also, there have been days when I'm like 24 hours is too less in a day. So back in my journey, I used to wake up at 2 a.m, go to the bakery, because it's bread and it's pastries, everybody wants it early in the morning. So and being in Delhi NCR, alone girl, like I used to bake alone in 2017-18. I used to go to my bakery at 2 a.m, lock the bakery from inside. So my family always used to be scared. They used to keep calling me every 1 hour. They put a camera there, always watching me, whether she's safe and everything is okay. So I think they supported, they were also scared, but I had that belief in my head. There was some trigger in me that voluntarily I used to wake up. I used to try and sleep by 10 p.m, and within 2-3 hours I used to just wake up, that just jump and wake up, that I have to go and bake for my customers. I think that belief, if you have in yourself and you're doing it with a lot of true heart, is definitely going to pay you. And always having a lot of structured plans, and always having a lot of strategy might not always work. It's good to have that, but if you have that self belief, I think you're going to get there.
Also, I think you are a very famous name when it comes to breads. And now, do you think you have any other competitors in the market? Since when you started, you're the market creator here. But now, do you think you have any competition or some specific brand you think is a competitor?
Definitely, like when I started baking in 2017-18, the competition was much lower. Also, the focus of the whole F&B industry in artisan baking, or the focus of F&B industry in good quality product, clean label products, was not much. But specifically after COVID, after 2020, people started thinking a lot about what they're consuming, why they're consuming. They started reading the labels. So so the whole awareness about this product really spread, and I think the baking industry is only still opening up. It has a long future, and I, I can sense and feel and also evidently see more competitors which have come up now, but it's not keeping us behind. I'm only focused on what I want to do, and I'm just going to keep going.
So, as you talked about that, sometimes being an entrepreneur, even 24 hours seem very less in a day. But then your personal space, your personal time, spending time with your family, those factors also are something that you want to do. So, how do you think young entrepreneurs should have a life balance, or even us as students, how should we have a work life balance, and why is it important?
I think work-life balance is definitely important, but when you get into a startup, you realize that initially there is only like certain span of time where you feel that I'm more than 100% vested in what I'm doing or in the product. So so for me, those were the days when I felt that 24 hours was also less, but the success I was getting in return was my work life balance.
Yeah.
Back then it was a brief span of time, and I think I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had no regrets because I was doing everything all by myself. And slowly, as and when you start getting success and you start building the team, I think everything falls into place.
What is one piece of advice that you like keep this in mind in life in general as an entrepreneur?
I would just say, like, this is what I personally learned and I personally unknowingly exercised, and I still want to adopt it in my future years as well. As I think having a self belief that I can do it. I'm not less than anybody, irrespective of whoever's in the market, whatever the competition is. But I'm going to be out there, and I have 100% faith in my idea and my product. I think if you have that go getter attitude, it's you're going to be there. So
We have a small little activity. So we have some questions in this bowl,
okay,
just related to business and you. I'll just pick up a shit and see if we've not covered those questions,
sure,
and just go
sure.
ahead. So, what's one myth that you would like to debunk about entrepreneurship? Any one myth you think people have around entrepreneurship?
I would like, this is not out of personal experience, but when I talk to my friends or my very close people. So I have a few friends who are in the corporate field. They have done exceptionally well. They have been very happy for the last, with whatever they've been doing with the respective companies for the last 10, 12 years. But they always have this. I have a friend, so she has this little idea of what she wants to do. So she always speaks to me that, you think this is the right time, or do you think my idea is good enough, or do you think I can do it? Because I've been in a shell. I've not faced the outside open world. I've been in a very protective environment within my own company. That the thing, I was not directly accountable for anything. But when if I want to have a startup of my own, I'll be responsible for the single rupee, for the single person I'm working with. I'll be accountable for everything. Do you think I am ready for this? So I feel this is one common problem which a lot of people face. Um, Again, as I say, it's never the right time. It's never the right opportunity. You just have to gather some good courage and just give it a shot.
Also believe in yourself
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
I think confidence and believing in yourself is the key to
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you think you can do it, you will do it.
Because the moment you take that first step, okay, I've stepped out and I've already started taking my first step towards what I'm believing, I feel the 50% work is already done, because a lot of your energy and everything is consumed by just gathering that.
Let's move on to the next shit now. What books, podcasts, or mentors have influenced your journey? Or any podcasts you would like to suggest? Any book?
Because I'm in the baking profession, I do read a lot of books from different bakers, and also read a lot of their personal growth stories, how they started with just being a line chef at one of the restaurants to say having a very, very successful bakery of their own. So I do read a lot of the personal stories of people, and that really, really inspires me, and that's, I think, what keeps me going. And
Anyways, moving on. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's
Jab
very,
Suchali met bread.
yeah.
That would be such a cute and like the perfect name. Jab Suchali met bread. What was your first, oh my god, I made it moment?
I very evidently remember this was back in 2019, I think. So I got a little postcard from one of the customers. She organically, so our delivery boy, he went to deliver a few breads to her, and then he came back to me giving me some envelope. And I opened it, and it was a very cute postcard. Maybe she must have got it from one of her travels. And then I still remember the customer's name. Her name was Aarti Sharma, and then she wrote that, Suchali, what have you created? So reading the first line, I was so scared. Shit, what happened? So, and then as I went on to read it, she was like, you are insane. you are amazing. Then she said, you are amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Then she said, whatever you've created is out of this world. I've never had such a bread in my life, even after so traveling thoroughly so much to different countries. She's like, this is the best type of sourdough bread I've ever had. So I think that was the moment which it really put me into tears, and it really was like, yes, I am doing something correct. So I think that was my oh my god moment.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I still have that postcard in my
Oh
office.
wow, that's so cute.
And also there was another one. So at one of the cafes, I got this 2 days later. A child had come with his mom and used to make this uh, vanilla cream cruffins some years back. And so that kid had drawn on the ruled paper only, probably out of a school book or something. He had drawn a cruffin with sketch pen very cutely, you know, the brown base and the yellow top, and saying, I love cruffin, thank you, Suchali. And, you know, and I'm sure that child was not older than 5 years old or 6 years old. And it was very adorable. And I got that back to me, and I think it really, really took my heart away.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids can be the cutest and the most annoying people
Yeah.
in that, but it's just so cute.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, I had this question going on in my mind. It's maybe not related to entrepreneurship, but what is the stupidest thing you've ever done?
Stupidest.
Yeah.
What is the stupidest thing I have ever done? And connected to my entrepreneurship only. So I had done this event in 2018 in Bikaner House. It was a media event. Totally unaware that, you know, people would really eat the croissants so much. I went on and on and on and on making 500 croissants for that event. And, you know, I used to bake all by myself back then. And then when we went for the event, I barely sold 50 croissants. So I think that was a big learning where it was a big
And you made
learning.
500.
Yeah,
Oh my
So it
God.
was a big learning where I was like, let me not get stupid and actually think smartly at what I'm doing.
What did you do with the remaining 450 croissants?
I had to force feed my family, freeze some, distribute in my neighbors, and, you know, ultimately donate a lot of them, because who would eat that number?
So if you had to start again, or if you were starting it right now, what is one thing that you would do differently, or what's the first thing you would do? You're like, nahi, abhi to sab ban gaya, fir se nahi karna.
Yeah. That's the feeling I'm having.
Yeah.
I think starting today would have been tougher because of the presence of the competition in the industry, and, you know, the market is also matured. I think the way I would have had to start would have been more aggressive and in a more matured way. But I think it's good that I'm not starting today and I started yours. Maybe if I was starting today, I would have had to think about the product a little more differently and, you know, more like edging over the other.
Okay, let's see what we have. What's something about running a business that no one wants you about?
It's about facing criticism.
Yeah.
You know, all the spots are not sweet spots. You genuinely get some criticism also. So those are the moments when I was in tears in my throughout journey. You know, even today, sometimes when you get like, I'm a braver person now at heart. But back then, if I would face any criticism, it's not that everybody would always like the product or everybody would always appreciate. You are bound to have criticism, which nobody warns you about. And if and you know something, when you're genuinely doing something from heart and somebody comes out with a criticism, I burst into tears back then. But I think though that criticism is also very, very important, because if you're not ready to face the criticism, then, you know, you're not ready to make your processes and the product and the idea better. So it's very important to accept that criticism. I feel as girls, like just not because of the podcast, but I would say when you go out after your college, you start something, you might end up facing, you know, some dialogues from people around you. Oh, you're doing this. Good to be busy. Good to be, you know, good to not be free in the day. Good, you're doing something.
Man lage
rehna chahiye. So I think, I don't know, but back then in my time, kabhi I used to face this, and I'm like, I used to be so angry that I am not doing this for time pass, or I'm not doing this to be busy. I am genuinely into this, and I'm building something. I used to be so angry from inside, but you just can't do it. So you might face this sometime, because kuch bhi kar lo, it is a male chauvinist society still. Women still are not really real. I mean, there is a long way to go for our country. So, but you girls have to just keep going, not really. Just believe in yourself and just keep going, because you cannot shut up those people.
Right.
And only your work.
Few more chits to go. Again, this is a very fun question. What is the dumbest thing you think you've spent your money on? Anything you like, paisa waste ho gaya is pe to.
Dumbest thing?
Yeah.
We do spend dumb money, be it 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees here or there, but nothing really like which I can recollect.
What is the dumbest thing you guys have spent your money on? Batao. I think as teenagers, हम तो कुछ भी.
Sometimes I think Instagram का कोई sponsored ad देख के we must have ended up buying something which did not turn out the way it looked. But I think we are prey to a lot of those ads sometimes.
Tell me, batao.
Yeah, what have you spent your money on? You tell us.
I am.
To know.
What is the dumbest thing I have spent my money on? I think I buy a lot of stickers for no reason. I end up buying a lot of stationery, and I just won't use it because वो बहुत cute है. मैं उसको use कैसे करूँ? It's just too cute to be used. So I think that. Yeah. I think that. Okay. 3 more to go. What is the boldest decision you've ever made in your business?
Boldest decision I've made in my business. I think the decisions which I make are not very exclusive of the whole business plan, because now we've started setting the business plan or where we want to be a year or two. I think recently one of the boldest decisions we've made is that we've set up a 30,000 square feet bakery in Bangalore.
Oh, wow.
So which we only opened last week.
Oh.
So that is one of the very bold decisions, and we've done a huge investment in that. So I'm scared that I hope I'm able to churn out volumes from that. It's a very big amount. So it's a bold decision as of today for me.
Let's all tell our all Bangalore friends that go and try Suchali's Artisan Bakehouse. Deal.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is the second last one. Done.
Done?
Yeah. Okay, last one to go. Okay, how do you deal with self-doubt? I think
it's a good question. So I think for all of us in our everyday lives, we must be facing self-doubt in some way or the other, be it in personal life or, your college or professional life. For me, I do have a lot of self-doubt a lot of times. And I tend to seek outside validation, whether, I'm thinking of the right thing. Because for me, I think the validation from my closest people I look up to, because everybody has a mentor.
Yeah.
So the closest people, be it in your immediate family or be it any of your friends or any specific mentor, I think I seek for external validation. I definitely rely on that. And I think 50% the work is done there only. And then the day I'm having self-doubt, that day I just sleep and I wake up the next day with self-belief. I can do it. Because like the circle has to be broken. Yeah.
I think sleep solves everything for me. I am sad, I'll sleep. I'll wake up happy.
But that external validation really, really works a lot for me.
It does. I think so. Yeah. Anyways, I think that is the end of our podcast. But before that, does one of you have any questions, personal, professional, to Suchali?
Yeah, please feel free.
Before starting this business, have you ever felt like, am I worth to do this or something?
I think I never went through that phase because I never thought it would be this big. As I said, that I never had a structured business plan, that this is what I want to be after 5 years, or this is where I want to take it to. I just started it in a very organic way. I just wanted to have a purpose in life and why I was living every day, why I was waking up every day. So I never had that doubt on myself, and I just started doing what my heart said, right? Like, okay, you have to go to the US, learn. Okay, I just did it. I just thought about the present and what I was doing then. And slowly, with the flow, when I kept seeing results, and then I saw success in my own things with a lot of learnings, I think I just kept believing in it. So yeah.
Any other question? Yeah.
So my question was that have you ever felt that you're getting late, like train chutri, and that people around you are, on a pedestal that is too high, and you're maybe somewhere in the middle or a bit. I mean that you're slow and the world is just running too fast. Like, have you ever dealt with that feeling?
Yes, a lot of times, and especially, uh, I, I do feel a lot of like that a lot of times. Those are the few self-doubt days that I need to buck up, and especially we living in Delhi NCR, and the topmost metro cities, the life is super super fast versus when I compare it to my life in my hometown, which is Ambala. So it's like the whole week gets over in a blink and you don't even get to know. And sometimes you just want to take it a little easy, little slower in your head, and then you see so much happening around you. There are so many founders doing this, so many podcasts, so many people doing this, that you open Instagram, it's all about startups, it's all about founders. So there are days when I just feel that time, it's really running very fast, but I think that day, um it's a bad day that day, but the next day when I wake up, then I'm like, take a deep breath. You have to do what you are doing. You don't really have to be influenced by the people around you, because it's only going to upset you, and your own mental block is going to be there. So I think it's very important to be at your pace, of course, at a decent enough pace, so that the market is competitive enough. But you don't have to get very comfortable with what you're doing. Ki, okay, now I have set this up, so now let me just sit on the chair and watch things. So if you get that feeling, the moment you start getting that feeling is when you might end up degrowing a little bit. So you always just have to have that feeling that I have to keep going. I'd never have that super satisfied feeling with your own self कि अब तो मैंने सब set कर दिया, let me just sit and watch. So then you will see the world growing faster. So it's very important to have that feeling, to keep getting better, and to just keep growing from the level where you are, be it at 1x speed or 2x speed, whatever you are comfortable at.
I think in college, every one of us feels that every day. We open LinkedIn, it's like a trauma center. सब लोग कुछ ना कुछ कर रहे हैं, मैं क्या कर रही हूँ? You're like, okay, I have to do something, and then you start searching
Yeah, in
internship
college you have that
options.
feeling. In my college all the time also, I used to like, this person is going to this flana university, this person is going to London, this person is going here, I'm only sitting in India. What the hell am I doing? But today when I think of all this, that what I used to think in my college time, I'm like, it doesn't matter. In the end, it's the final outcome now. Today what matters, who's doing what. People must have studied in the fanciest of colleges or the fanciest of universities, but I think the people who've not studied in DU also end up doing such great things. People who are from small towns, who've just done their basic education, is doing such great things. So I think it's within you. The trigger is within yourself.
I agree. Also, I had this thing going on in my mind. Do you think hard work beats luck, or does luck beat hard work?
I'm a big believer of karma. I'm like, I'm not superstitious at all as a person. This is me as a person. I'm like, okay, fate will follow, or what's written for me, what is God's will follow. But at least I should do the best I can today, so that I'm able to be answerable to myself. At least I worked for it, and if it's not meant to be, it won't happen. If it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Even I think it's with me, or maybe with everyone, that I want to give my 100%. Uske baad ho ya na ho. It's on God.
I feel when you give your 100%, आपने अपना सब best दे दिया है. If it won't be there, at least it'll be here. Like if it won't be 100%, at least it'll be at 98% or 97%. It'll never be at 50% or 0%. So you just think I can give my 100%, but you actually have to put that to work.
Yeah, a lot of questions. Do you have any questions for us as young girls? Anything?
No, I think I've pretty much shared my
Hmm.
experience. Looking forward to more great women entrepreneurs in our country.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Suchali, for
Thank
coming. It
you.
was a great conversation. I don't think our first podcast could have been any better. This is perfect as it is. I hope you have the same experience.
Thank you. It was
Yeah.
great and a lot of fun interacting with you all.
Thank you so much, Suchali. Thank you so
Okay.
much for coming to LSR. We
Thank
are
you.
blessed to have you here. Very, very big thanks from Entrepreneurship Cell for being a part and being the first person, the first woman to be at ESEL's podcast. It
Thank you
feels
so
so
much.
nice.
Thanks, guys.
Let's clap for you.
Thanks for being a great audience.